This is Matt Armstrong, a very famous English YouTuber who loves cars. He specializes in street-damaged cars and rebuilds them. In this video, we will watch his journey in repairing a 2019 BMW M5 F90. The video will probably be very long because we will go through all the steps and understand how cars are. This will be repaired and will come back completely new, a mechanical ride. I hope you enjoy the copy. He did not buy it from an auction or from a resale site, but one of his owners bought it and discovered that it had a major defect that he himself would not be able to fix, so he decided to show it with signs if he wanted to buy it and work on it. We will talk about the problem that the first buyer faced. He was afraid to complete the project and decided to sell it. And he gets rid of it, but first let us take a tour around the car and see what problems it has. As usual, car accidents happen in a completely healthy angle. The second side has parts that are not completely repairable, and the car's foot is clearly the one that took the hit. Here the hood will change and the front bumper is not there at all. The car on the right will change as well, and the car will need new lights as well on two sides, and the oil has started to be changed for sure, and there are a few pieces that are hidden and broken. It will be removed when at that time all the rain came and the interior open you see. For sure, all of this is considered simple. The real boogeyman is in the chassis. It is obvious that the damage to the chassis of the car greatly reduces the value of the model and may reach the point that the car cannot be returned to its original condition and ends up being sold for spare parts. He died and bought the car for a price of about 3,000 British pounds. He is in front of him. We'll get a blackboard and Hector is in this position. The engine will not start, and even if it is running, the oil leaks after the accident. Its connections were disconnected and all the oil in the engine went out. The lines are currently moving the car in the alley to the workshop, and here comes the first problem. The car was in a specific gear at the time of the accident, and after it hit the car, the power was completely disconnected and stopped, and the clutch was in place. The gearbox is automatic, so it will not move unless it is on now or neutral. What separates the transfer of engine power is that it reaches the transmission and then to the wheel, of course, but because surely there must be electricity in the car. He tried to resist the car with an external charge, but nothing happened. You will find it here. There is a network of two cable connections in the body of the car. The red connection will be the positive and it always has a designated place in the cabin, but the blue connection, or sometimes it will also be black, will be a connection, ground and common to all parts of the iron car. The battery registered in front of it is 7 volts, so its condition is dead. It is completely normal for it to be 12 volts after about 10 minutes. Nothing happened and the battery is still sleeping. So he brings a larger external charger and connects it directly to the car's battery. The car's battery will be in the bag behind him, and since there is no electricity, he will not be able to open the bag to reach the battery. He just removes the chairs like this. Access will be like this. Zahil was able to use his emergency opening tool, but he did not know how it was used this model. BMW changed its location, and the method of opening the locked trunk from the outside, and they applied more than one method. One of them is a rope that is pulled with the hand, or it may be in a cold pull in a secret place like this in the rear armrest of the car. External charging. Remove the battery and connect the electricity to the electronics in the car. The most important step. Here he changed the transmission to the now position, but the gearbox did not want to change the transmission, and the brakes were also electronic. It is working and it will not lock. The first thing he goes to do is disconnect the brake. He connects the malfunction detector and leaves the brake in maintenance mode so that it can be removed. Then he lifts the button but nothing happens. But when he lifts the button, and at the same moment he presses the brake with his foot, the lock is the second step, which is moving the gearbox to the now position, navel. The BMW automatic transmission has an emergency system like this to dismantle the transmission. Each model depends on the company that manufactures the gearbox itself. Among them is the gearbox from the top of the gearbox, which has a lock with a plastic key and opens from under the cup holder places in the middle of the car. Exactly here in the M5D, the gearbox is from the German company ZF, which has a small shield like this under the gearbox by simply pulling. By holding it in place, the engine disconnects the gearbox, and I indicate to me that this arm is supposed to have a tool. He has a hand to pull it and lock it in place, but here he will use plastic locks and he fell in love with it the first time. The shield is very weak and moves easily, but he uses more than one and it adjusts to the other, and from here begins the journey of repairing the monster. The price he paid to buy the car will be exactly £322,000 sterling. I calculated it all. It will be in British pounds because, as I told you, it is English in fact. He will begin to remove the cap, which is made of lightweight aluminum, and it will see completely here. There will never be any repairs on it, and underneath it there will be a serious defect that will cost a lot of effort and time to know how to change it, and there will be a very severe knock in the assistant's seat. It is not just a crack. No, this is here. The part is divided into 2 halves. This is made from a single aluminum mold, and welding is not an option for this metal. There are welding methods aluminum, But it is not as easy as welding iron to replace this damaged part if they dismantle the entire engine of the car from its place in order to make space for work easily. The assistant seat took the entire shock, but it did not reach any part of the car's body behind it. This is impossible. This is how it is possible to confirm whether the chassis is crooked or not unless he takes the measurements from the repair catalog. It is true that it needs work, but in the end, this is only one part, and he can change it and win in the end, but this monster is still asleep. The engine is not, we are sure whether it is working properly or not at all. Then the engine must run first, and after that they begin the repair. Because if there is a problem, a crack, or even a broken part, the car will cost a lot to repair. Here, it is not known how much oil there is in the engine. The BMW company, after about 2010, most of its cars do not have the traditional oil dipstick that we know of. They did that because there is a more accurate indicator of the oil level in the vehicle meter, and the external opening for the engine oil has a slight possibility that it will let in water during the rain before anything else. This will eliminate the path of the oil from entering the broken oil coolers. We'll make a connection from a hose and connect it to the two openings, the beginning and the end, and the oil will pass through a direct cycle without cooling, temporarily. Not I honestly know why he chose such a long, strong hose, but it will generally serve the purpose by opening the metal housing, unscrewing the screws, and draining the engine oil. From the emptying hole of the oil tank from under the F90 engine, it takes about 10 liters of oil, but here only 3.5 liters came out. It will return in a second to the engine, and the missing amount will be filled with 7 liters. Here it does not matter whether the quality of the oil is old or new. He just wants to start the engine to make sure. The car was in good condition and had been parked for a long time. They removed the air pipes that connect the turbo to make sure there were no parts. It is broken or any defect could damage the turbo fan. If you think about it, when he was outside the car workshop, there was electricity, but the engine itself was not running. Here he will try again to press the engine start, but it will not start as well. But he thinks that he has still put the plastic locks on the emergency pull of his gearbox, so he goes to dismantle them, but the car's body starts. That same provocative sound. And you are not looking for a design for a set of fuses here. It will be located directly after the battery in two connections, one of which is for the electronics of the car and the second for running the self-starter or marshmallow motor. He will try to avoid having a blown fuse, but also the connections do not add anything new. The engine does not start. It keeps stomping on the engine start very much, until the engine turns on in the end. But it disconnects suddenly. In general, the old battery was empty, so I bought a new one and it was weak like the fuse box. This takes him out of the car, and here the problem was. This red cable is directly connected to the battery, and then it is divided into two paths. The right path goes to operate the electronics of the car, and the second path, which is on the left side, is responsible for conducting the electricity, and the hands of the car are on its first windings. This part will be divided into two. One goes to the dynamo, and the other goes to the march underneath them. There will be a somewhat large fuse here. There may be a break preventing it from being connected properly. The agent does not sell this part alone, but the price of this first fuse box would certainly be expensive if you were to buy it complete. However, he found this same part on eBay. He found it for 22 sterling, but he will reinstall everything and make a temporary connection like this between the dead battery paths, until the new part arrives and the engine will run properly, finally, and now it is the stage of dismantling the engine from its place. The engine is in this version comes down from the bottom, not in the normal way, which we know is that it lifts, and the house literally falls due to its very large weight. It will be easier to remove its connections, and the car lift with hydraulics will remove all the connections, and the flash connected to the motor will remove the entire pigtail in the M5D in two computer control units, two ECUs, one on each side of the engine and one in two strands, one on the right and one on the left. He will separate all of them and then he will remove the connection lines. Gasoline, and by chance, he will find that someone needs to change it. He will change it. Then he will remove some plastic tires like this, and then he will know how to remove the screws that secure the support that holds the manhole boxes in place. It is like an exhaust pipe, all of it from its place. After that, he will remove the thermal insulation that will be above the manhole passages, and the last step from underneath will be to remove the column. Cardan or transmission shaft is called a drive shaft or prop shaft, which connects the movement from the gearbox, is for the horse from behind the calf. This column is connected to the gearbox with only 4 screws. On the other hand, it is wrapped open in a box. The French can dismantle it when they use an iron stick of about 1 meter in order to give them greater torque. The second system that must be disconnected is the steering system. It will be dismantled by an iron sweeper covered by a tank of engine oil and through it a very tight space, with a nail and its fastening separating the steering wheel, after which it will be dismantled the 2 wheels in front, and I will think of the connections that go to the drum. Here there is a sensitive connection to the end of the brake pads electronically, and also to the brake oil hoses. Of course, I will remove all of these things, and then I will remove the shield above the one that holds the suspension of the car. It will go to the gear, and I will remove the screws that are fixed to the frame of the car, and the last thing, installed, the engine is in place. There are upper bolts like this located in the seat. The assistant from above will raise the hydraulic lift and the body of the car will be raised with it, and the engine with the transmission with the suspension system in its entirety will remain completely under. The size of the engine is real gigantic. The whole set feels that the issue is much bigger than just a car, as it will be broken in more than one piece, such as intercooler, German field, and other things, etc. over time. Before repairing the damage to the car's structure and to the assistant's seat, he must make sure that the chassis is not crooked. He has a catalog like this that contains all the exact sizes from different distances. In the quality control factory, he uses laser devices, but he will do it manually, and I will swear that his measurements turned out to be in an area with a distance of about half a cm more. But he brought the crush bar with all the metal pieces that he would need. He changes it later and discovers that his measurements were not very correct, and that the new part he brought fits normally in the car. This means that the chassis of the car is the same as the factory sizes and is 100% intact. The chassis design here is like most street cars. It is called monocoque, and this is a French word that means a single shell or a single chassis. It has very many advantages, but it has a problem that the design of the whole front distributes the shock in a thoughtful way. The most important part is that the arms extended outwards. The chassis of these two lines, or the chassis bone as they say, is useless. They move 1 millimeter from their place because they will affect the geometry of the entire body and all the systems that are connected to the chassis around them. There are more than one signs that say that these shields do not move 1 millimeter from their place and that they are fine. What is important here is that the chassis is sound, but it needs more precise performance in order to be certain. This is also necessary. He takes the measurements so that, when he changes the iron and aluminum parts that are screwed on the right side of the car, he is sure that he will install them the same. The correct sizes are so that he can make a very simple iron frame as a backup so that he knows the correct places. At the end of the installation, he will completely dismantle the flap in the left side to make sure that there is no damage. I do not see any small screws that hold the wheel housing, and there are also screws along the length of the fender, one of which will be visible when you open the door, and the flap comes apart easily after. Moving all the screws, it removes the flap, exposing the rest of the frame's supports underneath. He completes and removes all the connections that are stuck in this part of the car and removes all the faults that were originally removed at the time the engine was removed. He almost completely dismantled the car. All the lines that pass next to the chassis arm are removed from them, including the air conditioning lines. Of course, a knock in the assistant's seat, even if it looks simple, can cause it. Second damage is this part that contains the entire suspension system, and if there is a general maintenance of the piece, this area can break if there is a very severe shock to the piece. This huge one, as I told you, is completely cast from aluminum. This means that it is not welded to the chassis, but is attached to joints engraved along the borders of the entire piece, next to the assistant's seat. It has 3 iron parts that form the side support for the car, and they are all made of iron. The front part is clearly not repairable. He bought a part from BMW. Here he removes the paste that seals all the joints between each piece. Under the paste there will be star-shaped screws like this are used only once, but they are supposed to have a certain performance, because when unscrewing them they carve a plus sign, and they unscrew them with a regular screwdriver. The front part of the piece under the putty will have welding. Here, it will unscrew the iron with a missile. You will wait for it to unscrew the rivets engraved in the metal. It is called a rivet in Arabic, a rivet whose function is to staple the iron to the aluminum. Very strong, and I want you to make sure that the dismantling will be much easier than the installation. Was an option is that he cuts the damaged part of this assistant's seat and gets the same piece and welds the cut part and assembles it. But here the structure will be weakened, and the stroller with this force will certainly face problems because of this patch. It will be a very bad idea. The whole piece must be changed from its place. The same steps will be repeated here. The snout will be dismantled with a wire brush. The rotor and the rivets will all be disintegrated with the drill. Heat will also help in making this metal easy to remove. What is really annoying is that there are 2 bolts along the borders of the assistant's seat, all of which took very many hours to disassemble. This piece works like a shoulder for a stroller, and in the M5D in particular, it is gigantic in size. The assembly will begin by installing the star nails that connect the seat to the part next to it. He installed the iron ruler that was working on it, and found that the dimensions it is fitted with the drill, so it will make circular holes of the same size that were there before. Clean this entire piece with cleaner from BMW company, and then he will install a box of putty that will hold the pieces together. The thickest glue-like substance, a mixture of epoxy and silicone, will be applied to all the areas under the places of the rivets. The stabilizer will remain seated until it dries and holds very firmly, and it will bring the pieces of the rivet that are in their complete shape to resemble a nail and may in particular. The rivet is pressed into each hole, including the rivet or rivet, which is made of iron, and a second group of they call the metal steel, so you can say that it is welding without heat between iron and aluminum. The stapler he used requires a lot of effort because only one rivet is attached, but in the factory there will be a special machine or fastening for this part of the fastening. This part is finished, and the iron part that was destroyed due to the impact remains. To make sure that the dimensions are correct, he will begin installing the new piece that he bought. Installing the parts will be easy because the steps are not a lot of putty, welding and some rivets, but it takes a lot of effort and time. The last step is sealing with the paste that it completely closes all the joints. This putty is not used manually in the factory. After it is finished, its shape is supposed to be very consistent. Finally, the front body will enter the stage of painting and spraying after more than a week of work. Its appearance remains exactly like the side, except of course for the putty that was applied in a random way. Here it is complete. According to him, the repair cost increased to less than £500 sterling, and the most important thing is all sizes it turned out fine. And here we go to the elephant or beast in the room, which is the engine. He will start repairing the parts that he noticed were damaged, and how many parts he will change with high-performance parts. The best thing that will be the first thing he will change is the air manifold. More than one part is broken because it is made of plastic, meaning there is a leak in the manifold, or the air manifold effects. The airflow of the engine. Here there are two manifolds for the engine, one for each. Replacing 4 cylinders in the manifold with the engine installed in sports cars will be a huge task because the space is always tight. He will ask for the same specifications as the parts from BMW. They will also be made of plastic. He will remove the sensors that were installed on the old one and put them in the new one. And of course, the electric gates. It is obvious that it is an engine in it, so it will be on it. 2 switches, everything will be back in its place. After all this replacement, the intercooler tracks will be removed for the turbo to make space behind for work on the water pump. Here, the entire pump belt was broken, like the whole pump from its place with the broken pulley. Sports cars. The metal pump is with the pulley as one part and will not be disassembled. Almost in M5, the company does not provide the pulley as a spare part alone, and these cases are rare. In fact, the water pump needs to be replaced in a sport car. It's just a little bit like this in this model. The belt is in its place in the housing of the water pump itself, so it is removed from the old one and installed in the new one. In order for the pump to rotate, it needs movement from the belt to wind the pulley. Here the belt assembly was completely out of service, so it comes out new, and in order to remove the old belt it is necessary to lift the tensioner here. The tensioner will be fixed with a screw, then he will change and install the new belt. The belt here, like most cars, operates on 3 wheels things at the same time: the water pump, the dynamo, and the air conditioning bridge. Here one notices something strange. The belt is striped and the pulley is not the lines. These lines are supposed to increase the area of contact between the pulley and the belt, and at this moment it will leave it. I was afraid that this is the right thing, but in front of the video, this story will cost a lot of time and effort, because after he installs the engine and turns everything off, he will discover that the belt is slipping on the pulley, because it was right from the beginning that it should be installed on wheels that have tracks similar to the lines found on the road. Most of the BMW sports gearboxes are adaptive, so that when you put them in sport mode, the helpers get very dry, and when you change the position, their response changes depending on the road. It will leave the helpers alone, but it will change the zipper that is responsible. Mainly about the height of the car from the ground, the issue will be easy because the entire system is already on the outside of the car and will have a clamp on it that presses. Zipper is so that he can remove the base from above, and there is a nail that is locked on the helper from above. If it is loosened, you can remove the zipper from the helper. The seat of the zipper will change it with what comes new in the box. It is supposed to perform. It came out because it was pressed in the helper, but here it will be removed with the plug and it will come out normally. The old helper had some oil on it, oil that leaked from the car. The new Henna and Hercule coilover allows the zipper height to be adjusted accordingly manual. And since the engine is outside, there is an opportunity to change other things. And the first thing that changes in modifying any BMW car in general is definitely the downpipe. The downpipe is a pipe that connects the hydraulic or exhaust pipes coming out of the engine to the rest of the exhaust pipes until the end of the repair. The idea is that it is you remove the environment box, which is the plug for the converter, and any other filter in the exhaust tract is replaced, also with a pipe that is open to the end. These cans and filters are obligatory for the company at the time of manufacturing because they violate the conditions and laws of the global environment regarding emissions. But the components of the filter or these cans affect the engine, even if only to a small extent, because they create pressure and also greatly affect the sound of the car. Of course, their name is downpipe, but in the engine. These are from above, not from below. Process of replacing the downpipe is easy here. With some insulators the heat is covered by more than one layer, and there are many sensors and wires. He had to remove them, and since it is awkward to fit 2 exhaust paths, each environmental box is attached to a seat and has fixing screws. Once they are removed, it will be free without any welds. The downpipe that was installed is 2 pieces, a long pipe and a small connector on top. After shutting down, There will be special sensors for a second filter after the environment box called OBFO, for short. The auto adapter has a sensitive filter like this that reads the emission percentage and its components. But since it has removed all the filters, this wire is not necessary here. It will leave it in its place. In general, it will not be cut, and its code is so that it does not show the carrier. It does not do a tuning, and here comes the stage of returning this monster to its place in the car. The engine is like it will not be dismantled. It will never be installed, but it will be raised above the engine with the gearbox, exhaust pipes, and furniture. It is possible to break them all together, and its weight is 400 kilos, but here, as I told you, they do not need to lift this whole thing. The car will go down and the hydraulics will lower it to the ground, and he will sit for a full hour connecting all the bases and connections and installing all the plugs that have been removed. This is a look of random wires, to be frank, but he took pictures of all the plugs and the connectors. As the one that was installed in the car in the first place, the drive shaft will be installed through 3 bolts attached to it. Finally, he left only one thing left, which is that he connects the steering box to the steering column. The space is very precise. After he installed the engine in its place, he will start installing from above the engine all the flashes, connectors, and switches that he removed. All new cars are installed in one special way, so it is impossible to install one in the place of the other. Gasoline lines, sprinkler line, and the return line to the gasoline tank, which will connect the water pipes and the intercom Cole's turbo kit, and he will return the fuse box to its place with all its connections. He will connect the shield above the one that holds each part and the brake lever and the ABS fault. There was a broken part. He decided to replace it when the engine is installed again in the car, and it is the intercooler, but to be precise, here is its name. 2 charge coolers, the charge cooler and the intercooler, have the same function, which is to cool the air drawn from the outside. The vehicle that is pulling due to the turbo or supercharger before the engine itself is afraid of the cold air will be more, meaning there will be a greater percentage of oxygen in the same volume compared to the hot air. This makes the engine able to burn more gasoline. The important thing is that the difference between the two is that the intercooler cools the air that passes through. There's only outside air inside it, but the charge cooler is the same idea as the radiator. The air that passes inside it evaporates. With the water, Armstrong died. If you follow him, you will know that he likes to do a Spencer every once in a while. He starts the engine to make sure that it is working perfectly after installation, but in general, the car is turning and its sound is like a roar in the place. Everything is working perfectly, and the rest of the thing that has anything to do with the engine is turned off. He is now doing an update like this. For the total costs and expenses involved, you will find that the German product is expensive, even though it is plastic. But it is expensive. It is very expensive because it is specifically for Nations 5. The cost has increased by about £1,000. He will want him to install the wheel and take a lap with it outside the garage. We'll take a lap with it before he comes back to change the things in the interior, but after he starts the engine, there will be a problem that the brakes are loose. The car does not have brakes. At the same time, the car's computer did not know how to change its parking status, nor did it know how to transfer it to the computer. Then he will see that the oil connections to the brake fluid have reached them properly or not. It will drip, and all the possible air that is present in the cycle will come out. He tried many times, but there are no brakes. He is even surprised. The device works with a vacuum and follows the instructions, but the brakes do not come with it. He thinks that the reason is possible. It may be that the hood is exposed, so the computer in the car refuses to move it. But it will sit working with 2 hands or sit idling because it has no other solution but thus. The brake master will be connected to a box containing brake oil and equipped with a pressure device, and it will take the brake air to every corner of the car from the second control unit of the EPS. Works every time, and this means that it is running correctly, starting from the wheel behind the left one, and actually there is air that starts to come out with the oil, and after half a year. An hour later, the brakes were tightened and it was fine and the car was ready. It was about to start at 5:00 p.m. You had to step on it, the brake pedal, before you press the start button. This method of operation is present in all models of the motherboard, and its first goal is safety. When the brake system is adjusted, it is possible for him to answer this, but he will go out and start changing all the broken coolant pipes. He will also install the new charger coolers, the very sporty cars that will be there. There are 2 systems for cooling the air inside the car. The first system is the one that cools the water in the radiator that cools the block, the engine itself, but the second system is what cools the air that enters the combustion chambers themselves. Here's the whole system. I bought it used. It has a radiator, and the leak is the air conditioner's oil radiator. In the middle of all this trouble, I find 4 flashes or 4 connectors. I don't know what they are connected to or what they are connected to. You will know. In front of the video, these 4 fish are installed in small units like this, connected to a computer and attached to it. The bumpers on the inside of the car are equipped with parking sensors that help when the car is parked. And if you still know the dimensions of the car, they are all electronically on the screen. The protection of the oil radiators is made of crushed steel. It was bought used, and it also has an oil radiator that is a pipe to the ground underneath. This will remove the remaining hoses. The temporary worker he worked at the first step will be to connect the front oil cooler connections. The next step is to install the exhaust, but the stock will have additional filters to reduce emissions, in addition to the resonator box, which acts like a silencer, and also in the filter boxes that are at the end of the car. He chooses to install a fully tuned shock absorber for maximum performance. The best new sound will be the same shape, the same movement, but without any obstacles or filters. It will still be installed. The insulators cover the heat and cover the entire lower part of the car. The diameter of the exhaust pipe is large, and this is because the engine is 4400 cc and its installation is very easy. It is true that there are metal rings that hold the bottoms of the car's chassis and are closed on the exhaust pipe with circular locks or like a buckle like this. Iron will take the electronic valve that was installed in it, which allows by closing or opening the end of part of the track of the shakeman, which greatly affects the sound and its loudness. And if you take care, you will find that the fillers or boxes that are attached to the other are much smaller and stronger than the stock. The iron connections that hold the shakeman are fixed with pieces of leather or rubber in order to reduce vibrations. Thus, the car was locked from the bottom, and it was all fine. The Ramaz company from which he bought the exhaust system is a company from Austria, is very famous in Europe. It makes shock absorbers for all German sports cars, and the average price of a full exhaust from them is about $4,000, meaning £200,000. It is difficult to find someone who installed the system here. He will put some cooling water in it so he can operate it safely. I will try to hear its sound after modification, and it will be very loud. It opens on Sport Plus. It will be a plane, not a car. It will never go down. He installs his tensioners or supports on the chassis that he dismantled, and they have a cover on them to protect them from scratches. This is how he installs them on the ground, and since he counts the helpers in front of the ironing machine, it also adjusts the one behind the helper who is behind him, who is held at 2 points from below. He's held by a large nail or a single connection, but in order to dismantle it from above the access point, why not from the bag, but behind the sofa at the shelf for the headphones. After that, I will go to sleep on the entire sofa, and it will be held by a large number of clips. It will all be dismantled, and this large stick will get tired altogether. From here you can see 3 nails holding a metal seat underneath. Along the way, the assistant will be riding. After he removed the one above, he went under the jaw of the large nail and the assistant got out easily from the furniture, and to remove the zipper, he will do the same thing he did to the front assistant. He will press and unscrew the screw with an electric gun. The same thing goes for the seat of this iron zipper. We'll take it out of its place and replace it with the one that comes with the new assistant. He does not change the type of shock absorber, but he changes the zipper itself because the zipper is the one that controls the rise or fall of the stroller on the ground. He will install everything again, close the shelf, and return the sofa's straps to the stroller. It must be changed after the accident, because the machine here is not tightening enough and the belts need to be reset by the factory itself. Edgy stayed here. For the introduction of the car and the kit that he bought a used bumper, the color of the car, from eBay and Hercules. The breakage in the accident will cost about $400. The Charger will receive the 2 coolers with the turbos. Replacing them is easy. He will take out the old cans with a broken end and install all the sensors that are very important to calculate the rate of air entry and pressure from the old to the new. While he was riding this rice cooker, he would notice that one of the water hoses had a hole in it. It must be changed. He will also make a grid for the air filters. He will install a filter in the form of a drawn one like this. It is supposed to be good at drawing air from the outside of the car. The shot is in the form of carbon fiber with a red filter on the inside. It looks dangerous. We'll install a heat insulator first, and then he will install a stabilizer around the filter box and the herbetten in 2 pieces. Air direction is installed in front of the radiator to direct the largest amount of air towards the filter after cleaning the engine. The view looks very nice really from the interior. There is still a lot of work, because there are 6 airbags that were opened at the time of the accident. Replacing one of them requires disassembling the entire dashboard. We'll order a completely used one with good leather. Of course, it will make up space, and the 2 electric chairs in front are very heavy, which makes it difficult to move them. It is very soft after dismantling it, and in order to dismantle the dashboard, the center console must be removed from its place. The topic is clear, but there are clips and screws. A lot of strong wires can confuse the installation time. Technique that makes the matter a little easier is that every nail that comes loose is installed after the pieces that were holding it in place are dismantled. He will remove the string that is held by its core with a single nail. I personally do not like to work on the interior in such depth because everything is covered in one part. Secondly, in his case, he must disassemble everything in his way, which makes the maintenance of these cars very expensive without manufacturing. The same 8 pieces included the dashboard, the airbag for the passenger side seat, and the dashboard that he ordered. This was one of the most expensive things he bought. Its price was more than £1,000, and he bought separately the airbag for the knees that fit from underneath. He bought it for £300, and he and his friend found that they were installing the console and board in 1 hour. But still, the air curtains that come down from the side and cover the window in the time of accidents have screws that are used only once, and other screws that are unscrewed with a regular screwdriver. The airbag system here is different and its composition is different, little softer than the rest of the other places. After installing them in place and tightening them, the inner tires are installed. It is missing the most important and easiest airbag in the car, and it belongs to the steering wheel. When it opens, it explodes and tears off the logo and the leather at the heart of the stern. The hoop will be held in the steering column with a large nail. He will dismantle it and install new shifts for it. This gear shift paddle will be connected to an electronic unit that delivers signals to the computer when you pull the shift towards you. Changing the flanges is simple because they have pistons that are installed on them as long as it remains in place. The hoop will be installed in the same way, and the button is one line behind the heart of the hoop. When the airbags open, these belts are supposed to fasten the parts in place very quickly so that the airbag itself is not a shock and causes damage. New belts contain small boxes or cylinders, which tightens the belt strongly, very much at the time of the accident, and it only works once, and it must be changed except for the 4B's 400 pounds sterling, meaning the person was standing on it for 100. The belt machine has a place at the very bottom in the middle of the belt. The belt band passes behind a thin iron barrier, which leaves it free and not untied. There is a nail next to the shoulder of the chair, which is what is used to guide the belt, and there are 2 plastic pieces that cover the whole area. The matter is simple. Here, there is no idea. After that, the chairs will be returned to their place, and the interior will be closed from beginning to end, and all that remains outside will be the shelves. The hood hinges, as I told you. BMW make a movement that raises the hood a short distance, protecting pedestrians from knocking. This hood lift system was the first company to adopt it. Mercedes was the first company to adopt it, and it applied it at the beginning of the millennium on the S-Class model. Its mission is to bring the surface on which the person will land closer to his body in order to reduce the shock. Also, to reduce the possibility of it reaching the bottom line, which provides a nice system, to be honest. But it is expensive when any error is changed, even if these hinges open, and you have to change them after that. The system activates them through 2 cylinders that engage and raise the hinge that you are riding on. There is also a belt of sensors in front of me which senses the collision. The belt is a thin air hose with a suction cup inside it, and on each end of it there will be an electronic sensor at the time of the accident. This hose is broken or leaking, and this is what gives me a signal to open. This sensor line is installed in a path. Why is there foam in the bumper in front of the crush bar? All the time I asked for all the parts of it that were missing. First of them was the left fender, which was not found used, so the same thing happened with cabot. He ordered it from the company. The cabot here is made of light aluminum, so its weight is much less than iron after spraying the piece. The new car is almost back in very excellent condition. New oil will be added to it, and the car in the catalog takes 1.5 liters. Oil, and before he starts driving it, he will sprinkle carbon fiber pieces on it. He will install a front spoiler or a splitter behind it. He will also install a full carbon fiber diffuser and install the side pieces that make the frame around the window. He will also put a spoiler larger than the one that was on it. It is all carbon fiber and a beautiful carbon lintel. From the side, the most beautiful of all, of course, will be the carbon fiber bezel, which has a real dangerous appearance with the 12 bronze sign in the text. And from the second this monster is back on the road, the total price of the repair plus the parts he installed will be about 43,000 pounds sterling. But there are additions that were used as propaganda for him to film videos with. I mean, there are many things installed in the car. He did not pay for them and did not add them. At the price that is written in front of you on the blackboard, you will find that the nearest car in the used market has the same specifications as the model. This one costs about 500,000 pounds sterling. The market for the Mother 5 is always expensive. Don't mind if you modify the car and put an extra part on it. In the end, after I put a tuner on the car, I put it on the dyno and it recorded 720 horsepower and 800 Newton meters of torque. Beautiful car with sound and picture, performance and everything, literally, this 90,000. From my point of view, I see it as a model there is no parallel in the entire history of the 5th grade, in the history of Mother 5. And that is why we chose this to be the first. So just write to us what you think below in the comments and wait for the rest of the videos that will be uploaded to the channel, because we will bring videos of and they will be much more destructive than this fattest. Subscribe and wait for the videos that will be uploaded to the channel on a weekly basis, because we will get cars that handle accidents much stronger than the M5D. Please write to us which car or model you would like to see me rebuild, or they call it rebuild. But that's it. Peace be upon you.